Yes, hi. Welcome back to another episode of Jazzy and Classy. And this is Shirley J.Carter. And of course, we have the other Tony Bennett, who is a singer and songwriter and a booking agent in his own right. And our guest today is Sidney Onoriode, otherwise known as Dr. Sid. How you doing, Dr. Sid?
I'm great, Shirley. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, and I know that you left the music industry to go into the gaming industry.
Yeah.
So you have a following of music and gaming. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
I'm trying to
yes.
build one in film now as well.
Right. I see you're in the film industry as well. So I'm going to get started with your title. Right now, you are the founder of Condo. Is that Condo
It's
Doctor?
it's actually contender.
Okay, contender. It has
Yeah.
the doctor ring at the end. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah,
Very
it was
clever.
it was yeah, yeah, I did that on purpose.
Yes, I figured that from our previous conversation. So, right now you are the director of gaming of the tournament at Unanonymous Games. Is that correct?
Yeah, unanimous games, yeah.
Unanimous. Okay. Somewhere
Yeah.
I saw unanimous. I'm gonna let you know that. Okay. Yes, yes. So I'm glad you cleared that up. So, can you talk about your time in the gaming industry now?
I mean, I started in the gaming industry pretty much, I mean, like most people do. I'm an avid gamer. I spend a lot of time playing video games. It's a release for me, something I do to relax. But in about 2018, I wanted to start, getting into competitive esports. So I started a team called Citizens Gamings, and the idea was to, get a bunch of African Nigerian gamers, put them in a team together, and give them an opportunity to compete in tournaments and earn a living, from their passion while gaming. But in 2019, I attended E3, and that all the more solidified my resolve to focus on esports and gaming because I saw how big the gaming industry was and the different possibilities that were out there. We ran Citizens Gaming; it's still running till date, but in about 2021. I realized that we had spent a lot of money getting players and talent together, but we didn't have a lot of premium tournaments that would allow players to compete at a high level and earn, money that would make sense to the players and to the owners of the team. So I created a company called Contender, um, which was the idea was to create premium tournaments that would allow gamers from Africa and around the world compete to be able to earn a living from their gaming, and definitely help to grow the Nigerian and the African gaming ecosystem. So I've been running Contender for I think 3 years now. We're going into our fourth year. We have some major tournaments like the Contender Esports Championships. We've done some minor tournaments as well. I also serve as the technical and tournaments director for the Nigerian Esports Federation. So my role is also to help put teams together to represent the nation of Nigeria in international sports tournaments. We have just came back from Morocco where we competed at the first ever African Esports Championships, and we're looking forward to build on that and keep the ecosystem growing.
Oh, that's great. So, I want to piggyback on your mentioning Nigeria. So, my next question is talk about growing. Where did you grow up? And talk about how growing up led you to the point where you are now.
I mean, I don't even think we have enough time. I grew up in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria.
Mhm.
My mom was a fashion designer and artist. My dad was an actor. Um, and just regular African home. Very principled, very strong, very loving. Grew up. I have three siblings: an older brother, a younger brother, and a sister. I went to military school in Nigeria, the Air Force Military School in Nigeria. I studied dental surgery in the University of Ibadan, graduated from that, and then I got involved in music and entertainment. And I had a over 20 plus year career making music and touring the world, winning awards. So that's why people call me Dr. Sid because I went
Yes.
to medical school and things like that. So for me, I've lived a very fulfilled, exciting life with a lot of adventures, and I'm someone who says that I am actually living my dream. I dreamed about making music and performing in front of thousands of people. I did that. You know what I mean? I've always wanted to make films, being as my dad was one of Nigeria's biggest actors. I went to film school at the New York Film Academy in LA. I made my first film in 2022. I'm working on my second film right now. It's just been a this is a very brief summary of my journey, which is really long, but
Yeah.
I've just I've been blessed to have a very, very exciting and successful life.
Yes. While I have you, can you talk about some of the people you've worked with in the music industry? Just a few.
Ah, wow, that is a long list. I'll I'll try and
Mhm.
I mean, most of the people that I've worked with are based out of Africa. So I've worked with artists from South Africa, from Ghana. I've worked with most of my career I've worked with Don Jazzy, who is probably one of Africa's biggest producers. He also worked on Kanye West and Jay-Z's Lift Off album, Watch Your Throne
Okay.
album on the song Lift Off. He's been like we I've been signed to his record, two of his record labels, Mo Hits and Maving, and he's been part of a very important part of my success as a musician. Well, I started out working with a guy called LD, Larry Dabbery. He was the first person to see my talent as a musician and as an artist, and he signed me first on Tribe Records, and then I moved to Mo Hits with Don Jazzy, Maven, and we're still very close friends today. I've worked with the likes of Tiwa Savage. I was on the
Wow.
label when Rema and all these guys, because Rema and Ira Star all signed to Maven Records, the label that I was a part of. So I was there when all these guys were young kids growing up and trying to make their way in the music industry. Um, I've worked with Fowls, I've worked with WizKid. Um, it's a long list.
Yes, I see. That yes. And so, in the gaming industry, which I know is up and booming, it ties in with the film industry at
Yes.
times. So, I would like you to speak a little bit more about your doings in the film industry.
So I've always felt like I mean, the film industry has been a very important part of my life because my
Yeah.
dad paid all my bills growing up from acting. So,
Hmm.
and I'm an avid consumer of film and television content. So it was a no-brainer that I was going to end up in film. But making film is a very, very important part of life. I think for me, storytelling and the way we depict things and give people an opportunity to escape reality or to
Hmm.
open their eyes to different parts of reality is important. So storytelling is a very important part. It's also important in music as well. um
Yes.
video games take people on a journey, on a mental journey, on an emotional journey through different challenges, and they push you to be a better version of yourself by striving to overcome obstacles. And I think you know video games are like putting you in the driver's seat of a film. And it's literally always about storytelling at the same time, which is why probably in my film, the lead character, my film The Order of Things, the lead character is actually a gamer. And I just had to blend that into that, I think. And if you look at it now, there are a lot of films that are animated movies that are based on video games.
Yes.
Things
That's
are
true.
being yet the
Hmm.
lines are being blurred. There's a lot of CGI characters, and the technology used in video games is being used in film to create, effects, stunts, and things like that. So there's a synergy there, and I think there's amazing growth that's going to keep happening, and we're going to see. One of my favorite films that has to do with gaming it's a film called Ready Player One, which kind of just spoke about the metaverse and everything before we even knew that was coming out. So that's super exciting to see.
Wow. And so, also esports. Can you give us a little history of esports?
So, I mean, esports is basically just defined as competitive video games as a competitive sport. And,
Okay.
it's been happening for years, from the days of Atari,
Oh, yes.
people would go in and they would
Mhm.
compete at different tournaments. And I think it's gotten to the point where esports audiences are rivaling traditional sports audiences in terms of viewerships and attendance. Games like Dota, like League of Legends, Mortal Kombat, FC 24. These games are getting big audiences watching
Yes, they
people
are.
play
Mhm.
and show their skills. So I think it's the future for a younger generation of people who are not necessarily involved in physical sports. And it's a great avenue that gives people an opportunity to be successful at a skill that not a lot of people call a skill.
But now it is becoming a skill, and as you
It
say, it's a
is.
big thing. The tournaments, and you see them all over the place. These tournaments, you
Yeah.
see them on sometimes on YouTube channels and TikTok, and you see them places where you normally wouldn't think they would occur, but they are.
Yeah.
So
And I mean,
tell me,
these days, like people are even ESPN, some sports channels are showing esports tournaments. So that's a big
yes,
deal.
yes. So it's the wave of the future, wave of the
Mm.
future. So tell me a project that you're working on currently.
So right now with Contender, well, I'm working on a few projects. With Contender, we're rebuilding the platform. Contender is meant to be a hub to host the African gaming community and give them an opportunity to sort of compete and give them the tools that are required to do that. So we're in development on a new platform to allow people to do that. Unanimous Games and a UEL Esports here in America have signed a deal with the Omniverse event in Nigeria to give African gamers an opportunity to come and compete in a $1 million tournament in the
Wow.
US. Yeah, and at the
Mhm.
same time, we're working on that, working on logistics for that. But at the same time, I know I'm also wrapping up development for the script for my next film, which should be coming out in 2026.
Okay. So you just gave us some information about your films.
Yeah.
So where is your future taking you with all of the film industry? Do you think you'll get back into music?
I don't know. It's funny. I was having a conversation with someone about this just last night, and he was like, "Yeah, you need to do one more album, call it
Right.
Resignation." Like Jay-Z with the Black Album. I was like, I mean, music is always going to be a part of me and a part of who I am. I think
Hmm.
I may release another project. Not right now though, because I'm focusing on a lot of things, and I think if I want to give music the attention that it requires, I need to be able to do that properly. So for me, the focus right now is obviously film and television is something that I feel that I will be able to do till I'm 90. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes. Yes. Now
it's in
tell me a
no, go
little
ahead.
bit more about television. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about what you. Go, go
So I
ahead.
feel I feel like with content, there's only so much you can tell in an hour and a half, 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? And there are some stories that require you to a longer period to tell the story of for people to get fully immersed in the story and the experience. So I also look at long form content in terms of like TV series that can tell a story over time and have people be
Yes.
invested in the characters and the people and the stories. So I am developing a few long form content like TV series and TV shows, and also some game shows which are related to esports. Something just I can't talk too much about that one now, but yeah,
Right. I
I'm developing
understand
a
that.
yeah
Hmm. Yes.
developing a game show for esports, and just to help grow the awareness globally about what people can do with esports.
Okay. So now, I know you're a creative, but are you at all interested in documentary?
Yes, I am. I think I'm
Okay.
interested in storytelling. I think
Mhm.
storytelling is a very important part of life. It's how we know our history. Sometimes if you don't get the facts right, people get wrong information, and we all know what misinformation can do
Yes.
in today's world. It's just always about documenting things and telling the right story. Maybe I might my first documentary might be my documentary, my what I say. So, but I feel
Yes.
like yes, I am definitely interested in documentaries.
So that's on the horizon as well. Can you give a specific, if you can at this time, of a documentary that you always, besides yourself, that you've always been interested in?
That I
Someone or some place that you've been interested in?
oh wow, there's quite a few. I think one of the first documentaries that really blew my mind was something called The History of Nigeria. There was
Okay.
just a lot of, and being Nigerian, there was a lot of information that I did know about, and I feel like a lot of people needed to watch it, where we came from, how the country was named, the Civil War and things like that. Like, a lot of kids these days don't know about that history to understand why Nigeria is the way it is. So that
Yes.
documentary really blew my mind. I'm also very partial and passionate about documentaries that have to do with individuals in Nigeria. So like, like Babangida, like just telling the stories of Nigeria's icons, heroes, and popular figures. I think it's important to tell those stories because these days the way people consume content, our history and our story will be lost. So it's important to tell those stories.
Okay. Getting back to esports, I don't want to lose this. You had mentioned ESPN. What are some of the other sports avenues that are interested in esports and hosting them?
Uh I mean, I think we had some great news this year. The Olympic Committee just announced that they're going to be having the first esports Olympics next year.
Okay.
So that's a big deal, and I think the Olympics is probably the pinnacle of sports, globally. And if they've now recognized that esports needs to be getting its own opportunity, then I feel like that's great news, and that's a big deal for esports around the world.
Okay. So, do you think sports agents and players in sports will somehow be transitioning to esports because of how popular and how much money is being made?
Uh,
Your
I,
traditional athletes, are they going to start investing in esports?
They already are. There are a lot of I mean, I think there are a lot of athletes right now that own esports teams or have invested in esports teams and esports platforms. I
Okay.
think I posted a video one time. I can't remember the whole list, but there's a bunch of athletes, actors, popular people that are investing in esports teams and esports organizations. So it's definitely, I mean, there's something called the Global Gaming League, which has like a league of teams
I
owned
think
by
I did see that.
celebrities. T
Yes.
Pain is in there, Jermaine Dupri. There's a lot of big people investing in esports and being part of the growth.
So now what does that mean for our stadiums that are around the world? What
I
does
mean,
that mean for real estate?
it's just the esports requires you need stadiums to host events. It's
Yes.
literally the same way you can do a sports events in a stadium. You could do a concert. You could do an esports. You could do a esports tournament in a stadium. It's
Right.
the stadiums are fine. Infrastructure is not going to be affected by it at all. Esports
Okay.
is something that requires buildings, so you can't just
Okay.
play it
So
outside
it
the.
won't affect the present real estate and the new real estate that's being built.
Yeah.
Okay. So with this technology, that means that these sports stadiums and everybody involved will have to be up on the latest technology in order to participate. So now, in your opinion, will this change courses that are offered at colleges and schools of the like?
Yeah, it's already happening. There are
Yes, it's
esports
already
courses.
happening, but do you think that more colleges are going to have to add more courses in
I
relation?
think I think how, as time goes on. I mean, if you look at the courses that people were taking, back in the 60s and 70s, they're doing a lot more variety right now. Anyway,
Yes,
so with time and with evolution and with growth of different industries, definitely more courses will be added. And I think that's definitely going to be the same. People are adding game development courses now, esports athlete courses, esports nutrition, tournament management. So those are courses that are happening because those esports opens up a new ecosystem of job opportunities for different people that would need specific skill sets.
yes, that's true. So, what are some of the esports items that are coming up in the very near future that people can look forward to participating in and watching?
I mean, for most people, I think what I would advise is there is a platform called Twitch, twitch.tv, and
Yes, I've seen
Twitch is
that.
where a lot of gamers go to play, and a lot of tournaments are being streamed on Twitch. So the same way you have a YouTube account and you watch YouTube, you can just go get a Twitch account, and open your eyes to see what's happening with the industry and what's popping, and you might be excited to see something that you like. But with regards to stuff that's coming up, there's always tournaments happening every week somewhere around the world. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you just have to be have an interest, staying tuned, and go where we are, YouTube, Twitch, and watch and support and see if you might get a liking to it.
I know you're telling the truth about Twitch. I've said this before. I went on Twitch one time, and everything there was gaming, and they were all live. They were all live on Twitch. So you're right about that particular platform. So people coming up in the industry who are interested in gaming, what advice would you give them as far as schooling?
I think schooling is important. I think you have to be able to strike a balance. Education should not be taken lightly in any way, manner, or form. Um, so I feel like people need to be able to find a balance between education and obviously spending time developing your skills as a gamer or as a content creator. It's life is always about balance. So I think it's important to strike a balance between that.
Okay, great. So if someone wanted to contact you, what would be your contact information you want to give out to the listening or watching public?
Uh, it would be best for people to hit me up on social media. Probably, my social media handles is the same everywhere. It's I am Dr.Sid. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I do check my stuff regularly, and we can have a conversation about that. Yeah, that's social media is the best way. Is the best way to find me. I mean, or on LinkedIn as well. So see, I mean, we met on LinkedIn, so
Yeah, I know about LinkedIn. Yes, yes. It's very good content you have on LinkedIn, by the way. Very good
thank you,
content.
thank you.
Yeah. So would you come on again on Jazzy and Classy?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean,
Yes,
it's been a very
yes.
interesting conversation. So
And
yeah,
I definitely wanted you to come on when you put out that new music.
we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Yes, yes, definitely want you to come on. Yes. So I want to thank you for being a guest on Jazzy and Classy. And Tony, do you have something you would like to say?
I just want to say it's a pleasure having you. It's an honor.
Mhm.
We all root for you here, and I want to tell you that if you happen to have any of your older music, I know you haven't done anything new, but if you want it played on the show, this broadcast will be on 3 Comcast channels and 2 Verizon channels, as well as the other Tony Bennett Radio, which is backed by Live 365.
Okay.
All
Well,
right,
we'll talk about that later.
most definitely, and all they do report to ASCAP and BMI in a pros, so you will get spun around the clock and you will get a check from ASCAP
I
or
appreciate that.
anytime.
Appreciate that.
So Live 65
Mhm.
is out what they call a blanket license. You're familiar with it, working
Yeah.
at labels. So they do pay you. You do get paid for your airplay, and also there are stations like Amazing Radio that I'm on, Radio Wigwam that I'm getting about 250 spins a week. Not as much as I want, but you're further ahead than I am. So if you wanted to like utilize additional platforms, those are UK stations where you can
Okay.
actually spun as well.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
No problem. And I just wanted to tell you too, Sid, I'm on Rock Nation distribution, and that would be another plug for you.
I I work with the company I work with is affiliated with Rock Nation. So
Beautiful. The distro,
yeah.
Mhm.
the entire label.
No, it's the gaming side, but don't we'll talk about that later. That's
Okay.
a different conversation for later.
Gotta say that's interesting because I was on Equity, right? And Equity was they were distributing Jay Z's Reasonable Doubt. even with the tug of war, I know you heard about the Dame Dash and Jay-Z equity thing they're trying to work out in court. Apparently Dame was trying to sell his piece of his 1/3, and Jay-Z's lawyers thought he was trying to sell the whole mastering rights to. It's a mess. It's a mess, man.
Mhm.
Old friends that get changed over masters. That go to show you this industry is powerful. It'll break up families.
It's not the industry, man. It's life.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Mhm.
It's all about
It's
that.
life. It happens in different places. It's
Yeah.
just life.
And it's sad. And I come out of a booking agency. I was with Walt Reeder, and I also worked for his son. So I was a booking agent, and my entertainment lawyer that I was taught by, I was trained in music law by Bernard Resnick. So it's crazy out here, man. And I want to tell you, I appreciate what you're doing, and you're a good role model to look up to. Somebody I can, see another successful entrepreneur doing this thing. A lot of cats out in the world with a stretcher fetish. I'm here and I'm gonna be a menace to society and my variety. And cats be having anxiety. I rush you to the nearest hospital of your choice. And I got a voice and so do you. But you don't have a clue of the next move that you're gonna do. You're messing with the wrong man. And I'm telling you, I'm gonna have you understand who I am and where I come from. And y'all try to act dumb and numb out in the cold, and you get bold, and you're 70 years old, acting like a fool. I'm like Bobby Brown, I'm acting cruel. Don't be that way, I'm like the one that you don't want to play with, don't want to mess with. And I do it lyrically so swift, and I got the gift. Cats be up in the ER, and they got so many war scars. And I tell you when to tell you who I am and who you are. You're just a bystander, innocent. Now should I say, I'm reminiscing, and I need to be here to let you know and make it clear. I'm about to engineer. Cat, step aside. Tony gonna put you in fear. And I don't care what hospital you wanna go to. I can call the ambulance and have you go in a trance, and you do the dance. Side to side, step to step, lose your breath. And cats that wanna disrespect, I have no neglect for. And I'm about to even a score. Because you got a stretcher fetish. You got a stretcher fetish. You got a stretcher fetish. You like being on stretchers. You got a stretcher fetish. You like to be laid out. You like to be laid out. And take them to the ER. And from the war scars, you got a stretcher fetish. And cats magnificent like Morocco. When I come through, the other Tony Bennett gonna hit you. Knock you down, knock you around, slap you around. Slap some sense back into you. Because I don't know where you came from or what you think you're gonna do. You walk around here like somebody that's bossing people around, and you treat the other people in town like circus clowns. They ain't had no disrespect and no neglect until you showed up. You just came into town, and I don't know who you are or who you've been around. But you don't come in this town with that nonsense. I'ma lay you in suspense. I'm like the wash and the rinse, and it's tropical season, and it's a reason. And I'm here, and this is the season. Tony Jolly. And I'm going with the bleeps and the blunders and the follies. If you think you're gonna joke around, you definitely some kind of clown. And then you won't even last. You will never be around. I remember the Mothman prophecies down in West Virginia. And Tony Bennett is here, and I'm in your dominion. Yo, cats wanna talk, cats wanna walk, cats wanna bark when they wanna picture a mouth. And they don't even have no freaking sound. But I will allow this one time for you to speak your mind, because I know that you like injuries and surgeries, and you like to be in a stretcher. And that don't mean nothing to me. If that's what you want, I'm gonna put you there. I'm gonna give you your welcome in your atmosphere. I'm going to grant you your wish, and then I'm going to dish out the punishment that you asked for, and I'm going to even the score. Need I say more? You got to stretch your fetish. You got to stretch your fetish. You got to stretch your fetish. You like being in the ER. You got to stretch your fetish. You got to stretch your fetish. It seems you got to stretch your fetish. You see, That's Camden, New Jersey. And my word is bond.